the Countryside Podcasts with Chris Skinner.
That's because I've walked back up here. I think they'd gone in the shade.
Well, we've got geese serenading us on this very sunny morning, nearly into June. Blue sky, quite a breezy morning, but lovely weather, just into the 20s. Chris Skinner, though, earlier in the week, it was 10 degrees hotter and very distressing.
Oh, it was very, very difficult here at the farm. It's nearly impossible to work in it. A lot of the work that I do is very physical work. And I'm just watching, we've got 2 geese on my lawn and 2 walking up the farmyard because I've seen Rat walking up here, my demented terrier. And hopefully they'll go past us and the noise will die down. Anyway,
these are juvenile delinquents, these ones.
They are. That's 3 of them, and I'm number 4, I suppose. Anyway, the wind has just changed round a little bit this morning. When you look at the weather vane down in the centre of the farmyard, it swung round from south. Almost pure southerly wind for several days, bringing this plume of hot air up. And it suddenly swung round almost due north this morning, so it's a little bit cooler, quite manageable. It's around about 23, 24 degrees Celsius this morning. Now, we've had some problems in this week, and the first one was the swallows. It got to, 30 degrees here, a little bit more than that at High Ash Farm. And in the stables, it got to about 90, I'll put it into Celsius, it got to just over 50 degrees Celsius in the apex of the buildings. 2 of them were completely okay. We have swallows in there. We had 37 adults arrive. We got around about 15 breeding pairs on the go. And the average of those is 4 young swallow chicks. And we lost 20 of those. They died. They bailed out of the nest onto the floor in the roofs that weren't double insulated. So really sad. But we've kept the remainder out of the sort of 40 to 60 youngsters in total. So we've still got about 40 left, I suppose, between 30 and 40. And that's because of this incredible plume of hot air that came up from Africa, from the south. Then it came across Europe. So southern Europe, it got close to 40 degrees. Madrid, I've got some farming friends down in Madrid. It was 41 degrees Celsius there, and they think they're going to lose some of their olive trees already because it's so early in the season.
Well, just to put it into context, this we're still in May,
yes,
and we've never ever achieved figures like that here, have we, in this month?
No, but that southerly wind has highlighted the disaster which High Ash Farm is helping out with a little bit. Just have a look at this, Matthew. This is really unusual.
Wow.
All around my house I have pyracantha, which is almost like hawthorn. It comes into flower about a month later than the hawthorn, or May as we called it at the beginning of the month. We're now right at the end of the month. It's June tomorrow. And what's happened is we've had an eruption, and that looks like really good news for anybody who loves butterflies. So all over this bush there's about a dozen. I'm just looking at the top of it in flower at the moment, and there's 4 or 5 painted lady butterflies. Now, I know you're smiling. They're not native.
No.
They come up from southern Europe. Now, why have they done that? Absolutely incredible. There's one right beside us here. You know, we're 18 inches away. Well, the whole thing is swarming with them.
Well, most years we get excited just to see one.
That's right.
And just yards away from your back door here,
yes,
there's a bush that's absolutely covered in them.
Yes. So why have they done this? Because was it the southerly wind just blew them up? No, they're really powerful, very fast flyers. And what's happened is, down in southern Europe, this is their main breeding time. Everything's come into flower down there. It is so hot, there's no nectar. The plants that they need to survive on have come into flower. It's just there's no extra moisture left in the soil, so everything's in flower, but there's no nectar, and so they've legged it, and they kind of have this migration mode in them. Or we call it when we have a sort of number of insects or birds arriving at the same time. We call it an eruption. I don't know quite what you'd call it with butterflies. Just at the top there's some beauties there. Some are a little bit faded because they've flown well over 1,000 miles to get out of that intensity, but more to find the nectar. Then they will seek out their food plant, which is going to be thistles. They'll lay their eggs on those, and those youngsters can hatch out, and they might make the return visit back to Europe, southern Europe. We don't know that, but our winters are generally too cold for them to survive. So that's high ash is helping out. You're looking up at the top, and I mean they're flying past us. 2 just come past us, so there's probably up to 15 or 20 just on this single pyracantha
And
bush.
they must be able to sniff this out, because
Yes.
they're obviously on the wind and coming up and seeking this better conditions. And
Yes.
they've made a beeline here for your back door.
Well, yes, yeah, they can pick up the perfume, the nectar, it actually gives off quite a vapour, and they can detect that from a distance. But this is right the way around my house, so because it's sort of mid-morning here at the moment, the sun is on the sort of southwestern side of the building here.
These little white flowers.
And they're sort of creamy white. I love this shrub because it's very thorny. It's almost impenetrable. So people often ask, what's a good kind of wildlife shrub to have close to your house? It's growing flat against the wall all the way around the building. I've got 20 pyracantha plants. So it's good for birds to nest in. It's an evergreen as well, and you've got one about 12 inches from your face now. Just that what's called a painted lady it's little like dots, paintbrush dots all over the wings. That one's quite a pale one, very powerful flies, and just moving from plant to plant as we're watching them.
And it goes without saying, this bush is now covered with insects as well. Maybe,
Yes.
I mean, a lot of bees
Yes,
as well.
there's bees working here, species of flies. Oh, that's an interesting one. That's a little solitary bee, probably what was called Osmia rufa. That's sort of one that nests in holes on the brick walls around the farm here. So it's really good. So this time of the year it comes into flower as well and produces lots of pollen and nectar. Even in a year like this, it's quite moist around the building. And then in the autumn, you have all these bright orange berries. And so I have things like redwing and fieldfare right outside my window, together with the resident blackbirds and song thrushes. So
Pyracanthus is the way forward.
yeah, I suppose so. Well, if you translate that into English, it just literally means firethorn. Pyra is Latin for fire, and canthus is part of the thorn species as well.
And can you get a good growth and spread of it fairly quickly?
There are 2 or 3. These ones here, they're about 5 foot tall, flat against the wall, and they're only 3 years old. This one's 9 years old, and occasionally I cut them right off at the bottom and replant them. But you can look, if we just walk around this side along the sort of northern edge.
Oh, here are the chickens, and the geese
Yes.
won't like this, will
Yes,
they, very
the
much?
chicken here, dust bathing. And you can see it's all the way around the house.
Yeah. That's so lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, and so easy. You just trim any excess growth off once a year, and that's it. And then you move around right to the southwestern aspect, almost right round the building. And here it is here. The sun will be on this in about half an hour's time. And yesterday there was perhaps 30 painted ladies on this end. So just absolutely incredible. As you say, normally when we look at the teasels later on in the summer when they're in flower, I jump up and down if I see a single painted lady.
Yeah, well, some years we don't see them at all on these visits, do we?
That's right, and so that's what's different. But it's emergency kind of exit from their country of origin. Let's put it like that. They're almost refugees in the same way that we have woodcock visit us over the winter months, and some wading birds as well. They get forced out of their home territory by excessively cold weather, and then they move, and that is called an eruption in the bird world. So there we are.
Well, you've got a swallow flying very low over your lawn here.
Yes, look at that, skimming over the top. The swallows that did lose their youngsters have immediately started cleaning the nests out, although it was pretty horrendous for them. They were sitting about the parents that did lose their young. They were very dejected for a day, and then they've got on, and they're now doing courtship again just a couple of days after that hot event, and they will re-nest. So fingers crossed, because it's June tomorrow, and that's when we normally have the beginning of the hot weather. The longest day is June the 21st, and once you get to there and into July, that's when you do expect conditions like that. That's why this year is unusual and caught the swallows out when they've got the young in the nest, and so a tragedy for them. Almost a tragedy for those painted ladies, but they've landed on their feet here using high-ash nectar, of which there's plenty. Come on, let's go out on the farm.
Well, I love coming to visit your back garden here, and there's no washing line, is there? How do you do your drying?
Oh, right. Yes, I thought you'd pick up on that.
He's got his laundry draped over the hedge here.
Yes, I have. It saves them using a tumble dryer. And there's conifers all down the hedge, evergreen hedge. I'm sorry about my geese. It is a farm after all. And so I hang them over there, and then not only do they dry quickly, but you get a lovely aroma of the pine, which exudes its resins in hot weather like this. So that's why. Oh, smell gorgeous I do this morning.
Just like a detergent advert you are. Maybe we could get this sponsored by one.
That's true, I hadn't thought of that. Yes. Wait. Please land. There.
Here we are, Chris, butterfly hunting again.
Matthew, look at this. A high-ash speciality almost. A green hairstreak has just come out of the hedge we're standing on, and if you move this way a little bit, it's just taken off again.
Oh.
No, that's all right, because they're on the wing now. Green hairstreaks.
It's a beautiful colour of green, but difficult to see.
Yes, there's about 5 species of hairstreak. The black hairstreak, the white letter hairstreak, the brown hairstreak, which we have here as well, far less common. But one of the most difficult butterflies of all to see is that one that just landed quite close to us, the green hairstreak. And this is kind of the end of a double hedge. It's over half a mile long, and all the way down this hedge, dotted in, are some plants which are now in flower called dogwood. And that seems to be a favourite meeting place for the female green hairstreak to come and drink some of the nectar. So that's why the males are here, and they're very flittish. They're just waiting for a female to come.
Smaller than those painted ladies.
Yes. And then what happens is they'll fly around, and when we look, we're actually in Arminghall at the moment. We're moved to the north edge of High Ash Farm. When you see them silhouetted against a tree, they fly round each other at incredible speed. It looks like sort of ball. They seem to manage to keep about 4 inches, 100 millimetres apart, and they're turning round and round and round without crashing into each other. It just is an amazing sight. So quick, so fast for such a small butterfly. So the females come here, they have a drink of the nectar, and the other side of the hedge, if we just walk round for a second, so right at the end of a big long double hedge, and then suddenly it opens out into big open countryside, nearly as far as the eye can see as pollen and nectar fields.
The yellow flowers here.
Yeah, we've got some buttercup, that's creeping buttercup, ranunculus repens, and then right out in the middle there's some really high pH soil in clumps. Can you see there's a very dark green clump about 30 yards away from us, and that's the food plant for this particular species of butterfly. It's called bird's foot trefoil, and that's the food plant that the female butterflies, once they've mated, she will lay her eggs on there, and the males will then come back here and wait for another female. They get ragged quite quickly. Their wings almost get torn to pieces with all that flying. They're on the go from about mid-morning till quite late in the afternoon, but they need hot sun, which they've had. They don't like the wind too much, and they are incredible insects. So I'm glad you actually saw one. What I'll do is I'll either get Laura Cuffin or Dave Jones, our local moth expert, and he's pretty ace at photographing them, and we'll see if we can get a picture. I've also got a little camera, because once or twice I've been here and I've caught a male and female mating. So what's unusual about them is the tops of the wings, so when they're flying, that's the bit you see, and it's kind of brown in both the sexes, and the underside of the wings is sort of really beautiful green, but it's not green. It's one of those optical illusions. The little scales on the top side of the wings, so when the butterfly lands, it lands with its wings closed, so it's saying its prayers, and then you see this iridescent green colour, absolutely amazing. So we might, if we just walk round. That was a painted lady just going past. You can see how quick they go, and the same with these little green hairstreak butterflies. So really beautiful. So you were lucky to catch a glimpse. Could you actually see the green on the underside of the wings?
little pattern on the wing.
Yes, and called
and peculiar
hairstreaks.
shape as well.
Yes, they are. Now, all the other hairstreaks, the other 4 species, have a little diminutive little tail streamer on the end, and it's almost absent in this species, the green hairstreak. And they're called hairstreaks because on the top side of the wings, so when the wings are closed, you'd normally see it. You'll see like a little hair width, either white streak coming down. It's particularly pronounced in the other species we have here, the brown hairstreak, which is on the wing from now onwards. It'll be a bit earlier this year. I've already seen one. And it just looks like somebody's stuck a hair on the outside of the butterfly's wing, appropriately white, rather like mine, and that's what gives them their name. But in the green hairstreak, it's little row of white dots, so it's still a member of the same hairstreak family. But so we're standing here, the sun's baking down, and I'm expecting to see at least another 1 or 2 flying before we actually go away. And the trouble is they've got to land to be able to see that glorious green colour. So, yep, I've been really lucky in the last day or 2. And the thing is, they can sit there, perched, perfectly still, waiting for a female to come along, releasing her pheromones, and you just can't see them. Hence, they're one of the most difficult of our many species of butterfly to actually spot. So,
makes it all the more rewarding, though.
It does, yeah, absolutely. So, particularly with this pollen and nectar field behind us. So we might come back before you disappear off home. We'll give it another half an hour. The wind is... and I don't know what that was.
I think that might have been a painted lady.
Another painted lady.
The size gives it away.
Yes, yeah. These are tiny. Give you an idea, it's about 35 millimetres, just over the inch, their total wingspan. And as I said, when the wings are closed, they're iridescent green, but when they're open, they're brown. And that's why when they're flying, you're almost looking for a brown moth flying past you at great speed.
Seen another one, Chris?
Matthew, I have. Here it is, right at the tip of my finger. Come on,
Okay,
land
here we
again.
are.
Yes, look at that. Oh, you are so spoiled.
Oh.
And you can see a touch of the brown from the underwing.
And the notch, almost like someone's taken a bite out of it.
Yes, that one probably has. I did say the wings can get slightly tatty after a few days. They just endless taking off,
There we are.
flying round. And it's come again.
Just above that leaf.
Oh, right. Yes, I got it. Oh, fantastic. Yes, just brilliant. There there we are. Is that your first green hair streak?
I think it must be,
Yeah.
yes. We were just walking to the car and you saw it, didn't you?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I mean, Rat wonders what's going on.
Yes, it does. I promised him we were getting in the truck, and I've broken my promise, and you can't do that with Rat.
I can see the antennae.
Yes.
Oh, I'm looking straight into the face of it. Now
Yeah,
it's gone.
there it goes, and that's what I mean. It's just looking out for things. It came back again, right to this almost the same spot. It's landed again in there, and once they've landed, unless you see them land, it's people think you're bonkers.
Perfect camouflage.
It is.
Here we are.
Yeah, there you are again. Look at that. Just perfection. Can you see the green?
You can see the sun coming through as well.
Yeah, you have to have the sun the right way, and quite often they'll lay completely flat on a leaf, so they get one side in the full sun with their wings closed. The sun's getting higher and stronger by the minute. I can feel it on the back of my head, and somebody else is enjoying the sun down there on the track. He's been out on the hottest days in the farmyard in the full sun for hour after hour. I think you could nearly fry an egg on him, and it's Rat, the demented terrier. He looks deceased, doesn't he? But
He's sunbathing. Oh, that's right. Roll over. Has he got his factor 30 on?
I think so. Yes, he needs that. Right, we'll head off to another site and just enjoy some of the sights at this time of the year. Come on, Rat, in the truck.
Just having a lovely walk around the lake that Chris installed some years ago. And it's really maturing nicely here, as we've discussed in the past. It's in its summertime phase, and as the rain has been so short in supply this year, here's your overflow pipe that you've made from a log here, of a long, great big piece of tree, and it's bone dry.
Absolutely. Matthew. We had a good thunderstorm 2 or 3 evenings ago. The sky lit up. My bedroom was like flashing images all over the house, and the noise from the thunder, it suddenly came up from the southwest. And I thought, wow, rubbing my hands together. So I opened all the windows and the doors so I could actually hear the rain on the farmyard and my lawn. And we just got a few paltry spots, and checked the rain gauge the next morning. 0.6 millimetres of rain, so I could have been standing outside in my shirt sleeves and not got too wet. So the drought just goes on and on and on for the eastern counties, and it's exacerbated by, you can probably feel there's a strong wind this morning coming in from the north. It's a cool, dry wind, and it's just drying all our crops up into sort of, you can almost set fire to some of the fields at the moment. But round the water here, it's such a beautiful setting here that we're at the bottom of one of the valleys on the farm.
And the water's in very good condition as well,
It
isn't
is. Yeah, there's lots of waterweed now coming up, and within a week this will be covered in damselflies and dragonflies. The water's just beginning to warm up, and they'll be dancing about on top of those weeds, laying their eggs. And some of the species of dragonfly, absolutely amazing, they'll sort of put their rear end into the water, and then gradually they work their way under, so the whole dragonfly goes underwater, and she will lay her eggs on the underside.
Oh, is it a damselfly?
There's
there?
a damselfly, yes, well spotted. That's one of the first here. A pair of them just flying about.
That beautiful blue colour.
Yes, iridescent blue. It's probably a banded damselfly, so we weren't quite close enough to see, but they're first out usually, and then followed by the, oh, there we are. I was thinking to say followed by the largest species of dragonfly. Hey, emperors going up past us.
Two of them. Oh, there they are.
Yeah, look at that, fast flying, just hawking over the water. Another one over there, look, just really prehistoric insects, and
The jumbo jet of the insect world
absolutely,
there, aren't they?
look at that, just hovering away. Yeah, incredible eyesight. Oh, two crashed into the water then. Just entertaining. You can sit here for hours and hours and hours, but it is a working farm, and I'm meant to be sort of doing all sorts of things, and I get so carried away I could do this all day every day, because at the moment I can't keep pace with the changes in the natural history of the farm from one week to the next. I sometimes scratch my head and wonder what we're going to do. Not at this time of the year. And I brought you here for a special visit to see the Queen of the Marshes. And that's the yellow flag iris. And it was in full flower all the way around the lake here, particularly on this side. Several clumps of them now, really well established, and we think it might be the inspiration for one of those heraldic symbols, the fleur-de-lis. So I don't know what you think. Let's just walk up to one.
It looks very much like that symbol, yes, with the petals drooping in just. There's three main petals there, isn't there?
Yes, look at that, absolutely stunning. Now, when the petal is very visible, but underneath the petal, if I just pull the top bit about, I won't take it off the plant, go down, and long-tongued insects like bumblebees can get right down into there where the nectar is, and there's the little bit, the anther, that has the pollen on it. Can you see? Just tiny, looks like almost a little caterpillar.
It's a darker yellow, the
Yes.
rest of the flower's vivid yellow.
That's right, and then the bee will go in under that, and then kind of, without knowing it, gets absolutely covered. There's some to got to open up yet, but quite a lot of them from the couple of days ago, they had been here in flower for a week, and I thought we will visit this next week. We have to, and a lot of them are gone over already. It's a plant with a lot of history, because years ago, once the seed pods ripened, they used to be gathered and used as an early coffee substitute. But I love the name. It's quite bitter. I have tried them, crushing them up and then sort of mixing them with boiling water, and it's not unacceptable, let's put it like.
It likes its feet in the water.
Yes, all the way round here, some of the plants are actually in water, and they can stand that. They've got huge rhizomes underneath, so if you try to dig them up, the rhizomes are really quite thick, nearly an inch, 30 millimetres.
Oh, here's a bee investigating.
Yes, yeah, so the bees will go in underneath, and they've got honey guides in, so the honey guides are slightly brown stripes, which many sort of pollen and nectar bearing plants have, and it kind of guides the bee down in to pollinate, and then that little the pollen-bearing portion comes into bear and drops down on the bee's back. So as the bee reverses back out, having supped a little nectar, which these plants will have here this year, then it then visits the next plant, and so cross-pollination is ideal for them. They will self-pollinate, but another little bit of history, it's got another name apart from Queen of the Marshes, and obviously the yellow flag iris. It's the shape of these leaves, and it's called the seg plant, S-E-G-G. And then they're great. They go right down here. I'm just going to take one of the leaves off, like that. Now, does that remind you of anything?
It looks like a sword blade, a
It
knife.
absolutely is, and seg is the Anglo-Saxon word for a very short, sharp dagger. That would be handheld, and it was used years ago for a fighting weapon, and that's exactly what it looks like. So it's kind of goes right back, because we're quite close to an Anglo-Saxon cemetery, and they would have known all about those weapons. So there we are. It's just spoilt for choice. Yes, look over there. Well, we got a duck. Is that?
I think there's a little duckling. It's just a solitary duckling. Maybe it's lost its mum for the time being.
I'm just wondering.
Is that a duckling or?
No, I'm just wondering. It's not. It's not got a tail. Do you know what that is? It's a little grebe. I don't mean a baby grebe.
Oh, the pattern on its head is
Yes.
developing already.
Yeah, it's got another name. It's called a dabchick, and that's one of the birds that are being followed on spring watch at the moment. It's delightful little birds. Normally make a nest in the vegetation around the edge of the pond here. Well spotted. So, and it's a diving little creature, so every few seconds it will duck down, excuse the pun, and go underwater and go fishing, or small aquatic insects like dragonfly larvae, which are in the pond here. Well spotted.
And I've seen grebes on rivers transporting their young on their backs.
And this will do that as well. And so maybe she's got a nest on that far side of the lake here. She's about 25 yards from us, and just sort of sunning herself and having a preen. And there's a fair bit, there's a nest there, and it's probably fairly safe, secreted underneath the soft rush there, which would be an ideal place for her to nest. And she looks quite happy, not at all perturbed about us being here. Bearing in mind we are quite close to a very large permissive walk, so you can walk right past this where we're standing, and it's really delightful. So I'm really surprised we haven't had any swallows coming in, just having a drink. And this is where I saw my first and only swifts at Hyash Farm a week ago today. 6 of them flying over the top, and they all came in for a drink. And that was wonderful to see. There we are. I think we'd better go back to the truck now. We've got loads of questions to get through. Plough through, which is a good farming pun, and I think we'd better get there out of the wind, or I'll be here forever.
Brilliant sunshine today, so somewhat of a relief to be in the dappled splendour of one of Chris's patches of woodland here, and it's lovely to be in Fox's Grove. One of the most delightful and evocative sounds of the English countryside, Chris, the song thrush.
Yes, it's one of the success stories here at the farm. We've got quite a number of them nesting here, and it's one of the UK's most competent songsters singing away for us.
Just one of the sounds that you can hear regularly on this podcast.
And we've got a little favour to ask. If you can possibly help by sending us a donation to help support the running costs of the podcast by visiting hyashfarm.com/podcast.
And thank you for all your donations.
I can just detect the very last perfumes from the bluebell displays here, and I've just seen one of our woodland butterfly species, a speckled wood, over in that little patch of sunlight on the edge of the hill there. There's a tiny little metre square, and there was flittering about in that, as though it's his own, it's probably a male, speckled wood, and we'll perhaps visit those species. There it goes, 2 of them.
Just in that shaft of
Yeah,
sunlight.
yes, there they are. They've landed on the ground.
Yeah.
Speckled woods. There we are. It's first for this year. Almost a month early. Goodness.
It's been very good for butterflies this week, hasn't it? And very good for your emails as well. A bumper bundle, as they used to say on all the best programmes. Catherine lives in Easingwold. We have for the 2nd year a nesting pair of thorny owls. We've always had them in the garden. A few years ago we put an owl box in the tree, which they're now using. We can hear the female calling during the day. Is she trying to get her chicks fledged? We know where she is because the garden birds go wild, i.e. chirping away. Should we clean the box out when finished?
Well, that's a possibility. Now, interesting to note that owls don't bring any nesting material into their boxes. They often will nest in old hollow trees. In fact, there's one right beside us here, look, a nest box, just by coincidence, in this tree which snapped off about 20 years ago, and I put an owl box there, and so they don't bring in nesting material. But what you can do is clean the box out if you want, because there can be 20, maybe if you're lucky 50 owl pellets there. Don't destroy them, just visit the local school for their little nature spot that many schools have and donate the owl pellets. Then if you want to get some hamster bedding from the local pet shop, if you don't have access to any wood shavings, put a few in there, and that's then a good time. Once you know the chicks have fledged, mid-June's fairly safe. They don't often do a second brood, so you can just check the box is empty before you put the camera in. But the sooner you put a camera in, a nest box camera for the owls for next year, that's brilliant to do. And also you can be rewarded, because sometimes they start roosting in them in November and early December.
Catherine's thinking of using a camera as well.
Yes,
what would your
that's
advice?
That's what I just said. You can install the camera sort of any time from mid-June onwards.
Moving on then, Kerry says, I was walking along near a body of water when I spotted a mallard up ahead. I walked very slowly so as not to disturb him. When I got to around 6 foot away, it flew off, but as it did so, a squirrel shot out of the long grass at the bottom of the hedge and tried to jump on its back. This begs the question, can squirrels kill ducks, or was this just one with eyes bigger than its belly?
Well, that's a possibility. I know that feeling, but I must say I'm a bit questioning that it's a squirrel doing that and hunting quite a large creature. Now, there are mammals which are kind of lookalikes to a grey squirrel, which would take a mallard duck. The first one that springs to mind is a mink, or I've known stoats actually kill rabbits much harder. We visited stoats a podcast or two ago, so fairly recently. You can learn about those. But I don't think squirrels would be able to kill a mallard, so I'm not sure quite what that is. So quite likely to be a mink. You can get mink with different coloured coats which can be squirrel-like, and they would certainly take a mallard down from usually underwater. They drag them in the water.
Now Jill in Fakenham here in Norfolk says, ideas please Chris on what's been eating the leaves of my Ligularia desdemona, leaving the stalks that are a good foot tall. Next I noticed the seed heads of hellebores had gone, also leaving just stalks. This is a new one on me. It's not monkjack. We have a 6 foot high wire fence, about a paling fence there. So what could it be then, Chris?
Normally with your hellebores I would blame slugs straight away, but in this case I think you're right. Particularly as the height of the leaves and the little stems that have been nibbled off, it's likely to be rabbits. But the real sure way of knowing what's happened is to install a trail cam. They're brilliant. They're not expensive anymore, and the quality is good enough to be able to use on your computer. And they're quite simple to use as well.
Well, that leads us to Kerry's question. Please, could you advise me on which wildlife cam to buy?
Yes, there's one company which we use here at the farm. It's called Browning Cameras, and there's various price ranges. None of them are too expensive, and even the expensive ones are so simple to use, and mine's in use all day, every day, and that's how I managed to get some of the wonderful footage. As I just mentioned, the stoat from last week, for instance, was stunning, and we have new sort of footage arriving each week. Got lots of fox cubs a couple of weeks ago as well.
Suzanne K listens every week and says, on an evening walk last week, my partner and I saw what appeared to be 2 different species of ladybird, one black with red spots, the other red with black spots, and it looked like they were mating. Is this a common practice, or were we mistaken?
No, you weren't mistaken at all. There's around about 40 species of ladybird resident in the UK. The commonest ones are the 2-spot and 7-spot. You could, when we were children, my sisters and I used to count the spots on ladybirds, and that would tell you how old somebody was. So it was either always 9, 2 or 7 years old. So they're the commonest. So the most of them have red with black spots, and some have sort of what we call reverse colouring, where the ladybird's body is black with red spots on it, so it's actually the other way round. Yeah, so we've got a demented terrier here. Come here, let's have a look. He's being neglected as we're doing the questions.
Don't ignore me, he says. Julian and Nikki from Halesworth have been walking through the woods here, in fact where we're standing. They've been coming through here, and the other day enjoyed a picnic as well. They've seen one or two things that they wanted to tell you about, Chris. I suppose most notably 2 great spot woodpeckers' nests.
Yes, we've got all 3 species of woodpecker nesting at High Ash Farm. I have to keep the third one, which is now quite scarce, sort of secret location. That's the lesser spot woodpecker. They saw Dendrocoppus major, which is the great spot, and we've also in this area of woodland got 2 pairs, one nesting at each end of the wood, of the largest of the 3 species, which is the green woodpecker. And you've got to be pretty sharp to find those. They tend to be a bit more secretive than the great spot. The great spot babies at this time of the year, once we're now into June, the week coming ahead, they are really noisy when they're waiting to be fed, when they see or hear mum or dad coming back with some food. Put the head out of the holes, and the noise is deafening.
Heather lives near Coningsby, which I think is Lincolnshire, isn't it?
Yes, it is, yes.
It's a neighbouring county to ours here, and she talks about how lovely it is this time of the year and getting out in the long evenings. And she also says, could you tell me a little bit about what I've found here? It looks like a walnut stuffed into one of my larger garden pots, which seems to be sprouting. I haven't seen a walnut tree in the area, and I haven't spotted squirrels anywhere near the garden. But I do have a cheeky jackdaw who I put monkey nuts out for occasionally. Do you think he may have brought me back a thank you gift?
Yep, jackdaws will certainly do that.
There's a photo.
Yes,
Chris.
there is. There it is. There's a walnut shell opened, and it's just germinating. So that's a possible culprit. Carrion crows will also do that. In fact, all members of the corvid one. But the most likely one of all, and this will surprise you, is notorious for its caching habit. They pick up all sorts of different nuts, particularly sweet chestnuts, acorns as a speciality, and it's really likely to be a jay. That would be the most usual culprit of the 3 I mentioned there.
And finally, Tina and Dick, the Woodsies, they've sent an email in talking about swifts. We have exciting news. We've never had swifts in our area, and since we put up a swift caller this year, guess what happened? As I was weeding out bindweed today, a group of 5 swifts in formation over our house. Goosebumps. Shouted for husband, and as they seem keen to inspect our area, so fingers crossed as we have 3 nest boxes now on the gable end. How very exciting.
Oh, yep, absolutely. So I definitely share your passion that's developing there. If you can get them in to nest in the house. But swifts are really long-lived birds, and if it doesn't happen this year, stand a great chance of having them nesting there, and that is truly magnificent if you can do that. They seem to be a declining species here in the UK. We've got very few here at the farm. I've only seen 6 all in one go at High Ash this year, and sometimes we have a flock of well over 1,000 feeding, waiting for that to happen.
And a swift caller is a piece of technology that will actually mimic the sound of a swift.
Yes, it's right. It's really high-pitched. I'd give you a rendition, but I've been talking too much already this morning. But amazing birds, an amazing high-pitched, high-frequency call.
Questions and comments to the podcast, they're all welcome. chris@highashfarm.com. And if you want to go onto the High Ash Farm website to find more details about the podcast and how you may donate to keep the thing going, then do be our guest and have a look, and lots of photographs on the Facebook site as well. It's all about technology these days, Chris.
Absolutely, yes. I'm being left way behind in technological terms, but thank you everybody who listens, and thank you everybody who makes a donation, large or small. It keeps the smiles on our face. We'd do it anyway, but because we love this, and who wouldn't?
Let's just close with the sounds of Fox's Grove.